Hey, Flosstube, Sean here. Today is going to be a mixture of things. It's going to be my stitching goals for the coming up year, progress update on some WIPs, and the promised video of the charts I have picked up since I last showed you my chart collection. So let's get right into it. First, a little channel update. Some of you may have already heard me talk about this in my 2020 channel and reading goals. I'll link that video down below because I'm not going to go strongly into it here because I did talk about it there. But there is very possibly going to be a rebrand of the channel to either Read, Watch, Stitch or Eclectic Planet. Mostly because I'm planning on adding movie and television content to one of the things I talk about in the coming year, and I don't feel like Eclectic Reads really encompasses everything the channel has become and is becoming. So check out that video. Let me know in the comments what you think of either name, Read, Watch, Stitch, or Eclectic Planet. Which one you like better? What you think of the idea, and because I want to take your guys' thoughts into consideration as I'm making this decision too. But very possibly there is going to be a rebrand. I'm leaning towards Read, Watch, Stitch, but I also like Eclectic Planet. So let me know what you guys think and what you guys like in the comments. Check out my channel updates and channel goals for 2020 video. I talk about that first before I go into the reading update, so you don't have to watch the whole thing if you're not interested in the reading goals. So let's get into some WIPs, and then I will talk about my stitching goals for the coming year. So I have done some decent work since the last time I talked to you all. It's about time. I have completed a little bit more in here, and I also tied up. I'm less of a fan of parking than I used to be, so I'm going through my WIPs and tying up the park threads, but I'm not just cutting them off. I'm kind of completing where they're at, and then so I've got a little bit here. So what I'm doing is I'm working towards a diagonal here to get everything, because I've realized that's really the best way for me to stitch. So what I'm probably going to do for most things going forward is go back to fully diagonal, but I'm not going to do the 10 row park in the next, and then if that color have 4 different strands of the same color going in the same diagonal, because I'm just going to stitch down the diagonal, cut things off, not park in the next diagonal, just because I get so many. Like I was working on Humble Heart, which you'll see I still have all the park threads there, and sometimes, especially in a high confetti area, you get so many park threads there that it just becomes unruly and hard to deal with, and I just don't like it. I'd rather just cut off, start fresh in the next diagonal. So it's about time, and Humble Heart happens to be the next one I grab. And I think when you guys saw it last, I'm not good at showing previous progress. I think I just had that little corner done, just right there, leading up to that circle. So I've got more of that corner pattern done. But this is what I'm talking about. This isn't even all of the ones that were there. Some of them got finished in this part, but yeah, I don't like dealing with this. So I'm moving towards not parking anymore, because that just gets unruly, and I have kittens and they like to attack the strings, and it's probably safer for the project if I don't do it that way. This one, I have to take this one off the Q-snap to show you because I made a ton of progress on this one. This is Big Cats. Let's see, can I might be able to just take off the top and show you. Yep, I can. So this is where I'm at with Big Cats. When you last saw it, I only had probably a little bit up here done and some stragglers. I have now gotten into the top tiger that's up here. That's the start of an ear. And this is where I realized that this method of stitching just all along the diagonal and just tying things off was really working for me. Especially on this one because there's a lot of the same colors going on here. But even when I got into the ear and the confetti there, and that's not even the heaviest confetti that'll be on this one, it was really working for me. So this is I was doing 20 across diagonal just because I wanted to get to this. That was my goal, was to get into the first cat. And then I started working on something else. But yeah, I made some really great progress on that one. I was really I was really enjoying stitching on it. And I just got excited to get to that first cat. And this one is part of my stitching goals for the next year, so I'll get into that. I did some work on inner depths. I got this completed in here, and I started some black work up here. But again, I think I'm moving more towards getting to the way I like to stitch on it. But yeah, mostly I got all this filled in since I last showed it. I did put, this is Eclipse, and I did put some work into this. This is the one I started in the bottom, what would be the bottom left or bottom left corner or whatever, this opposite direction of how I like to work. So this is the bottom corner, and I got some more, I got the park threads tied off and some more filled in up here. And what I'm going to do with this one, and Kim Hollenbeck brought this up too, and it was something I was already thinking about, and she brought it up, and I let her know, yeah, that thought crossed my mind. But she said, stitch along the bottom, then up the side to get back up to that corner that I like to go from, and then stitch it the way I like to stitch. So what I'm going to do, because this is basically the bottom row of pages. It's only about, I don't know, I have to look again, but this is as wide as the bottom row of pages is. So I'm going to do this bottom row of pages because that's what I bought the floss for. So that's what I have the floss for the bottom row of pages. Then I'm going to do a 10 by 10 column up this side of it to get to that top corner that most of us start our work from. So I'm going to go bottom row of pages, 10 by 10 column up the side to get to the top corner, and then I'm going to go and stitch it the way I like to stitch. That, if you haven't heard me mention before, that one ended up starting in that corner because I had started another project that I decided not to go ahead with on it. So I had stitches to frog up where I would normally start. So I started in the opposite corner so that I could work on that while I frogged what I needed to frog. I ended up getting it frogged. It ended before I started That way the frogging went quicker than I thought it was going to, but I had already bought the floss for the bottom row of pages, so I just went ahead and stuck to my original plan and regretted it. I put some good work into QS Arthur this week. I figured out where the diagonal was as to how far I had stitched out just straggler stitches. So I created a line here. So now I'm going to work towards that line. But this is the, you know, the start of his eyeball. So I'm really getting into the cat, and it's getting really exciting here. So that's coming together, and I'm really excited about it. And that is going to be part of one of my my goals in the coming year. I also put some work into Labyrinthine Spring. I really got like a couple of diagonals this way. I really got some good work done in here. Let me get it turned so that you can see it. I'm getting into the right here. I'm getting into the swirl that's there, which is probably the most distinctive feature of this one. The rest is just because it's Stephanie Poon Min Law. I think I said that right. I'm not sure. And her work is very colorblend, and I love her work. Hay just charted like 4 or 5 more of hers that I just absolutely love, and whenever their next sale is, at least a couple of them, I will probably purchase, because God, I just love her artwork. It's not always the most exciting stitch because you don't really see stuff come together, but it's just beautiful, and I really enjoy the artwork, and like I said, I've enjoyed stitching on, even though you don't really see like objects come together, it's still been fun to stitch on. And the other thing I have, sorry, I'm getting set up. I'm doing bulk filming today, so I'm getting set up for a BookTube video. Is Outer Frontier. I'm almost finished with this page. I had a lot of white space here the last time you saw it. Let me move that needle minder down. So what I'm going to do, my plan with this is I'm going to finish up this page, hopefully today or tomorrow. I probably got maybe 50 to 70 stitches left in there. I've gotten a lot of the big blocks of stuff done, and it's a lot of 2 or 3 off stitches in there, so it's going to take a little bit of time because it's going to be a lot of starting and cutting off threads, but hopefully I can get that finished up later tonight or tomorrow. I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow, but then you see right here I started a diagonal. So what this diagonal is, it's the furthest out diagonal of where I had stitches. So what I'm planning on doing is completing this diagonal, this 10 by 10 diagonal, from top to side. And that's going to be a goal marker to get up to. And it's also going to allow me to work, because all of it is still all those blues and the planet and the sky, but the top of this diagonal, when I get up further up here, is going to be the start of her head. It's going to be the start of her hairline. So my hope with that is that this becomes a point where I can work in either direction. If I want to work on sky and the planets, I can work up in this area, but this also gives me a starting point to go off of to work in other areas that show more things in the picture. So I can work either way depending on what I feel like working on when I pick it up. So it's going to take me a bit of time to get that edge to edge diagonal done, but that's my next thing I'm going to do after I get this page finished, is I'm going to side to side that diagonal, and then I have 2 different areas I can work from. So that is the WIP updates. That's what I've stitched on since the last time I talked to you. There is going to be more weekly content coming. I'm not sure if Flosstube is going to be weekly or bi-weekly at this point. It just depends on how I work. Sometimes it may be weekly, sometimes it may be bi-weekly, but I definitely do want to get more stitching updates out to you guys. I would like to do weekly. I do stitch almost every evening, so but if I feel like it's only going to be like a 5-minute video, I may just hold off till the next week. But anyway, so stitching goals for 2020. I want to be at least 40% done with Outer Frontier. This is a big chart. At around 11% done with it right now. That's what I like. One of the things I like about Pattern Keeper is it tells me what my percentage done is. So I would like to be at about 40% done with Outer Frontier. I would like to finish QS Arthur. It's a quick stitch. It's 6 pages. So I would like to finish that. Or it's 9. It might be 9 pages. But a lot of it is that outer background, solid blocks of color background. I think it should be able to be finished in the year. I would also like to finish Story Keep Labyrinthine Spring. I'd actually like to finish that one by mid-year. I would like to get to about 30% done with Big Cats. Mostly because I've been really enjoying working on it, and I think 30% is a good goal for that one. And I have my Enchanted Glimpse, which I didn't show here because I didn't really put a ton of work in. I put maybe 20 stitches into it. It wasn't anything noticeable, so I didn't show it here. But I'd like to get about half done with that. I would like to get to about 50% done with that. Again, it's one I just enjoy working on. And then I'd like to get to about 10% done with all my other WIPs that are currently in progress. And that's the progress I'd like to make on everything that's currently in progress in 2020. Up to 10% on everything except for the ones that I mentioned that have higher goals. And I think that could be doable. We'll see. I'm not going to put a ton of pressure on myself to get to that point. But the ones with the higher ones are ones I would like to see great progress on, if not possibly finished in the coming year. I'm also kind of going towards I'm not going to say a no starts year, but I want to be to certain points in certain WIPs before I start anything new. So that means basically my New Year, New Start that I was talking about doing, as much as I really want to have one or two that I really want to start, it's going to end up being the one that I was going to start around my birthday and didn't start. So I already have all the floss for it. I have the material for it. I just haven't started it yet. And that's Spirited Away, Stained Glass Spirited Away. So that was an Etsy chart I bought. That's just this stained glass artwork of some of the characters in the anime Spirited Away. So now I also have a couple of challenges I'm gonna work on that are gonna help me, especially with Outer Frontier, because it's gonna be a big part of these challenges. I'm going to do a couple things in the Full Coverage Fanatics group. I'm going to do the 20 and 20 challenge, which is stitch 20,000 stitches in the year 2020 on a single project. And for that, I am going to use the Outer Frontier. Also, I'm going to do the National Parks Challenge, which has 5 different tiers, and it's, again, in Full Coverage Fanatics. It's a year-long thing. It's got 5 different tiers, so I'm going to start with the first tier, and each tier has different national parks in it, and the goal is 4,000 stitches per park, or 8,000 if you do 10 stitches. But I don't like doing 10 stitch. So I'm gonna attempt that too. So you work on one project for 4,000 stitches, and then the next park you can work on the same project for another 4,000 stitches, or you can switch projects and do 4,000 stitches on another project. But it's 4,000 stitches on the same project for each park, and then you get done with one tier and then you move on to the next tier. So I'm going to also use Outer Frontier for a lot of that. Unless, I feel like working on something else for a good portion of time. But mostly the ones I have the higher goals on will be the ones I use for the National Parks Challenge. 20 and 20 is going to be Outer Frontier. I actually hope to complete far more than 20,000 stitches on Outer Frontier next year. And that's it. That's the stitching goals for next year. I think it's doable. But like I said, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself, and feel like I failed if I don't complete one, if I don't hit one of those. These are just things to strive for. Now, let's get into the charts. I'm going to use Pattern Keeper for this. And instead of inserting images and doing a ton of editing work, I'm just going to show you the mock-up from Pattern Keeper so you see the image. These are mostly Haydes. Wow, there's a lot of these. Okay, this is going to be fun. But it's going to be quick because I'm basically just going to tell you what the chart is and show it to you. I'll try to read the artist. Some of these I can't read the artist on. Let me pull up my Google Drive on my computer so that I can try and make sure I get the artist to you when I can't read it here. The artistes don't list the artist, I don't think. Maybe they do. Okay. So let's open... Oh, I can't do those in new windows. Okay. So we'll open the Hayde one. Okay, so the first one is... this is... Bear with me, guys. This is Castle Wolves. This is a Hayde. This is artwork by Jan Patrick Krasny. And... Oh, this is going to create a huge glare, isn't it? Okay. So that is Castle Wolves. I just absolutely fell in love with that. That is one of the ones I would really love to start. That one you've seen... This is Old World Map, but from Artisy. Oh, this isn't going to work. Yeah, this isn't going to work. Okay, that's a bit better. Old World Map from Artisy. Not great. Okay. So, I guess I'll do some editing, and from here on out, I'll just put the picture up. The next one is Steamheart from Chris Ortega by Hayde. I'll put a little image right here. Then I also picked up, these are Hayde until I tell you it's Artisy. Her Private Garden, the color expansion. by Julie. It says Julie Vallejo, so it's a Boris and Julie Vallejo artwork. They're a couple of my favorite fantasy artists. I got the Finishing Touch by Amy Stewart. I may have showed you this one. I'm not sure, but I just it's another one. I have very few that I've paid the full $19 for. This is one of them. Castle Wolves is one of them. Dark Moonlight Angel is one, which is a current WIP in process. Everything else I tend to wait for a sale. I've got Tears Over New York, which was a Luis Royo Haid chart. Again, another one of my favorite fantasy artists. I picked up One for Sorrow by Stephanie Puynman Law. You just heard me talk about how much I love her artwork, and she's got this 1-4 series that goes from 1 up to 10. So I thought it might be fun to maybe do that. Go through. She's got the 1-4 series, which is One for Sorrow, one for something else, and then she's got another series that's got numbers in it too. I can't think of what it is. But I thought it would be fun to do one of her series, and there's some of the 1-4 series that I absolutely love. So I figured I'd start with One for Sorrow and see how things went. I have Alvin by Richard Lorenz. This is just a cool little owl chart that I picked up. This one, I don't know if I'm going to start it this year. It's going to take me a while to pick up all the stuff for it, because it's not. This is going to be like my legacy project. Or I heard Stitching Jewels called her old world map something, and I liked what she said. I can't remember what she called it, but like her big project of her life. This is Autumn Queen max colors, so it's like 250 some colors, and it's going to probably take me forever. It's probably going to take me like 10-15 years to do once I finally start it, because it's probably going to be so confetti heavy, but I just love the artwork. It is by, I'm going to have to pull this one up on the computer because I can't read it. Bridget Ashwood. It's 237 colors. But I just love the artwork, and I really wanted this one in the max color. So this one is going to be like a big deal whenever I get it done. I picked up a Jeff Haney called Be With You. This one I bought. I haven't started this. I do want to start this one soon, because this is supposed to be a tribute piece. You've heard me mention in a video before that in May we lost one of our cats. And it's our second one we've lost. Actually, just the other day was the 5-year anniversary of our first cat that we lost. So I wanted to do a tribute piece, and I showed my wife a couple of options, and this is the one that made her tear up, and she said that one. So I do want to start this one soon. I just needed to give some space between the loss and starting it, so that I didn't get emotional every time I started it. I've shown that one before. Celtic Atlantis Opal. This is artist is Kristen Fox. This is just some Celtic art that I wanted to try. I'm showing that one. There's a freebie on Haid right now from Stephanie Puynman Law called Disintegration. Really cool. Really like I'd like to start this one soon too, because it's just super cool. I have Hidden Harbor, the color expansion, and that is Andy Russell is the artist on that. Like I said, I'm trying to put pictures up here. That's also to remind myself as I rewatch this to put the picture up there. I have Harvest Moon by, I can't read that. Hunter's Moon, not Harvest Moon. See, it's Allison Spokes is the artist on this one, and I just thought it was super cool. There's another. I think there is one called Harvest Moon, too. It's similar artwork, but she's coming out of a cornfield. That I would like to pick up sometime too. This one is called Laxa Daisy Voodoo by Tracy Butler. These three cats reminded me of our first three cats. I bought that at the same time I bought the Be With You. The cat holding the gun. All right, we had two boys and a girl. Now we have two girls and a boy. But our first three cats, they were Dewey, Monty. Monty was the first, and he passed away 5 years ago. And Dewey was the one that passed in May. And then we still have Gracie, who is 6 years old now. We've had her for 5. So the cat holding the gun, the black cat holding the gun, is Dewey. The cool cat just smoking a cigarette, kind of in charge. He is our first cat, Monty. This is how I related it in my head because it seems so accurate. And then the female cat with the gun is Gracie. So this is kind of for me the way I thought it reminded me of all three of them. So another Jeff Haney, Lady Steam. This was one of the featured artists ones on Hayed website. This one I'm going to have to pull up here because I can't read it. Okay. This is Little Red Riding Hood by Anya Kai. I recently got this one, like in the last sale. I saw, I forget who, but I saw, it wasn't on Flosstube, it was on Facebook. Somebody recently finished this and it looked super cool, so I really wanted to grab it. I've got Meeting on the Turret Stairs by Frederick William Burton. This is actually one of the first full coverages. I saw this in an Etsy store, and I really enjoyed it. So this is another one I would like to start this year, because it's one of the first full coverage pieces I kind of fell in love with and was just really drawn to. But I've never started it. I have Mermaid Hunt by Tom Wood. I bought this and another one of his shortly after they got released. They were the two. I think there was 4 on his initial release, and these were the 2 that I really was drawn to. I have Mystique by this is Amy Brown. Okay, a signature I could barely read. This is like a dark fairy, and I really enjoyed this one. I think I just got the notification that a new file started, so I'm going to have to do some piecemeal work. Quick Stitch Realm of Tranquility by Ann Stokes. Thought this one was super cool. I got this one shortly after its release. Secret Door by Babette Vandenberg. This is one I've been drawn to for a long time and finally picked up. Story Keep Baldu Mask I've shown. The Caterpillar by Donald Delamere. He's got a bunch of Alice in Wonderland artwork. Hayed hasn't stitched up a ton of it yet, or charted a ton of it yet, but I hope they do get to more of his Alice in Wonderland artwork because it's fantastic. I have 2 called The Last Stand. The first one is from Chris Ortega, and it's right here. And then I have another one from Tom Wood, and now it is right here. I'm gonna have to try and time that with my editing. That was a mistake. I have another Chris Ortega called The Darkest Hour. If you can't tell, I really love Chris Ortega's artwork. and I went off my screen, so I'm gonna have to remember I did that. This one, Tiger in Water, was the first. I don't know if I'll be able to show that because they Lady Steam, and so I apologize if I didn't show Lady Steam and Tiger in Water, because I don't know if I was able to get images for those, because they were both, unless I, because I've already grabbed all these images, so unless I did a screen grab of the first page of the chart, which I might have done. But this is Dakota Detweiler, and this was the first Haid featured artist release. I have Water Child by Jessica Elaine. This is one I've been wanting to pick up for a while. Haid did a Facebook freebie of this Wild Eyes Tiger chart by Carol. Looks like Carolina. Let me look. Carol Cavaleris. I grabbed it because it was only available for a few days as a Facebook freebie. I have Artisy chart Guitar Landscape Moonlight, which is just a really cool abstract guitar, acoustic guitar piece. Another one from Artisy. This is Castle Cutaway. And then another kind of cutaway one from Artisy that I thought about starting in October, but I didn't. Halloween House Painting, it's called. Recent Cyril Marchetti release from Haid, Jungle Montage. I thought it was really cool. Now this, I'm sure you all know what this chart is, because it was an anticipated release and everybody jumped on it and started stitching it, and there's a Facebook group for stitching this chart, and it is Once Upon a Fairy Tale by Amy Stewart. This is the other one I was considering for a New Year, New Start. I have Remember a Day by Chris Down. This was actually one of the first Haid, when I first discovered Haid and was searching through. This is one of the first charts I fell in love with and I never picked up, and I finally did. This one I'm gonna have to pull up here. This is The Muses by Tamara Markegard. This is one, like, for the past 5 sales I've thrown in my cart and then not picked up, and I finally did. And my most recent purchase is Dear Alice from Artisy. I saw somebody working on this and just fell in love with it. It's weird because, like, I wouldn't necessarily consider Alice in Wonderland one of my favorite stories, but artwork from it, I love. I don't know, it's weird. But that's it. That's the charts I have picked up since I last showed. I have a lot of editing work to do now since my bright idea with the tablet didn't work out. So yeah, that is it. That's this Flosstube video. Let me know in the comments what you're working on, how your Christmas has been, how your New Year's was. I'm not sure if this is going up before or after the New Year, so Happy New Year. Hope you had a great holiday, and yeah, thank you to all my subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you. Also, let me know in the comments about the channel rebranding thing, Read, Watch, Stitch, or Eclectic Planet. Let me know which you like better. I know which way I'm leaning, but I want to see what your thoughts are. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you stick around. There'll be more regular Flosstube content coming in the new year. And hit the subscribe button so you're sure to see it when it posts, and I will see you all in the next video.